Howdy guys and gals, Mikey V here. I'm going to be going over the basics to getting into coin roll hunting today. In front of me I have one of each type of rolled coin that you can obtain. A must-have for anyone getting into the hobby is the Red Book, the official Red Book. The new one should be coming out sometime in December for 2019. It'll have all the mintages and things for all the 2017 coins. Another must is a little scale. This one here I picked up at my local coin shop for about $8, so not all that much. I recommend highly that you make a list for whatever kind of coin you're going to be going through. Usually what I do is if I've got a set of coins I'm going to go through, I'll go into its page in the book and I'll look through and write down any of the high dollar ones. Now obviously there's going to be ones you're going to want to keep. S-mint marks, for example, anything that looks like it could be proof, or anything you just want to keep yourself. But if I find anything older than what I've written down, I'll always save it just to go back over it manually later. And I don't bother writing down the wheat pennies because there's too many of them to go through. If I find any, I just go back into the book later and look and see what I've found. With that said, let's get right to it. Alright, so a quick breakdown of what we've got here. We've got 50 cents in pennies, $5 in dimes, $2 in nickels, $10 in quarters, $10 in halves, and $25 in small dollar coins. Now these last two, keep in mind your bank may or may not carry them on hand. They can always order a box for you, but it won't be cheap. A box of halves is $500, and a box of small dollar coins is $1,000. So just keep that in mind if you're wanting to get into either one of those. So with the pennies, get started here. What I like to do is when I crack open the roll, I'll look at the edges, see if anything stands out, and that goes, wow, that looks like it's going to be all, oh, well, that is a bad example. Looks like I just opened a roll of 2017s. Well, typically, you'll want to take a look at the edges and see if anything stands out, like dark edges, whatnot. I mean, this is good, though. Didn't really mean to open a 2017. And they're all 2017 Ps as well, so oops on me for that one. But I mean, there are some errors that people have been seeing with the 2017s. There's possibly one where the 2017 P is missing its mint mark. If that exists and you're the first person to find it and you send it out to be graded, the community will credit you with the find. So something cool there. But I guess I should just move on to the next one because there's not really going to be anything here other than a bunch of 2017 Ps. So a little bit of a disappointment there. Alright, heading into the next roll. These plastic rolls are nice in one regard, as you can look at all the edges before you even open it. And you can see there's none that really look all that dark. There's a few darker ones in there, but probably not going to be anything. The most part of what you're looking for in the nickel rolls is going to be either Buffalo and older, or the wartime nickels that are going to be composed of silver. So you've got 1942 to 1945, and that's the wartime silver alloy coins. So let's go ahead and crack this open. I don't think any of them are going to wind up being silver. Another thing to be said about the wartime nickels, every single time the mint mark will be on the back. Well, let's find one. You got Monticello there on the back. The mint mark on the war coins is always going to be above Monticello. So that's a quick way of seeing it without looking at the date, whether or not you've got a war nickel. Now be wary, there are counterfeit versions of these. Not exactly sure too much about those. I haven't done much research on them myself. I have just been made aware of them, so. Just a quick look at most of these. Some of the dark ones, doesn't really look like there's going to be anything all that special. Flip them over and see if I notice any mint marks or not. There's some pretty old ones in here, but no war nickels. The other thing, if you want to, you can also look for known errors. Or what I like to do sometimes is I like to try to find ones that are slightly off-struck, somewhat like this one right here, where you can see more of the edge on one side than the other. I'll typically save the good examples of those to put in my collection just because they're kind of neat. But it doesn't look like there's much in this, but you get the general idea. I'll go through these later and see if I found any varieties. Next up, we have the dimes. Now, this is one that I have not hunted yet, so this is kind of new for me as well, but I've already written down all of what you can find for the dimes that's worth any decent chunk of money. Basically, again, you're looking for silver pre-65 dimes and any other known errors. There are several different varieties of error that are known to exist in the coin roll hunting community and the coin collecting community in general. There's the double die. There's a double die obverse, which is the front, or a DDO, and then there's the double die reverse, which is the back, or DDR. And most examples are going to be fairly obvious. Some of them you're going to need a magnifying lens or something to zoom in on the coin with to be able to determine whether or not it's actually doubled or not. Just a precursory look here at the edges. I'm not really seeing anything standing out. With the silver, 65 and younger, you'll not see the sandwiching that you see on the edges of the newer ones. It doesn't really look like there's anything in there. And maybe this one. No. Let's see. 2014. No, it doesn't really look like there's anything special in there. I'm looking at any of the ones that look like they don't have the sandwiching on them, because that's going to be your best bet for finding anything. But it looks like most of the ones that look like they don't have sandwiching are just more modern. They've gotten kind of better at hiding it. Yeah, it's another 2015. So nothing all that special there. Again, I'll go into looking at these a little bit more closely later on, but this is just basically a how-to. So, alright, another new one for me is quarters. Again, just like the dimes, you're going to be looking for anything 1965 and younger or older that might have silver content to it. It does appear as though there's a few of them in here that aren't reeded. Now, most people will tell you not to bother with quarters because they've been pretty well hunted and they're some of the more well-known silver coins. But I'm going to go ahead and crack this open, take a look at those ones that look like they might be something, because you never know. Another problem with the plastic sleeves is they're a pain in the butt to get the coins out of. So we've got these pulled aside here. State quarters are always nice. There's a few well-known errors with the state quarters. Again, the red book will go into detail on any known errors, which is why it's a must-have for coin roll hunting. Looks like mostly newer. Again, everything else looks like it has, yeah, pretty much everything else you can tell is clad. So there's nothing really going to be there other than maybe some errors or varieties. But I'll look at those again later. Although right off the bat, the first one that fell off is in 1965, so that was kind of a nice little coincidence. Anyway, I'll go into those later, see if I have anything. Alright, moving right along to the half dollars. Again, what you're going to be looking for is when you open it up, you want to look at the edges and see if anything stands out at you. I can already see a few that are looking like they might be something. If you look, you see this one here looks like it may or may not be. It's 1989. Again, with the halves, anything 2002 or higher is not intended for circulation, so I usually pull those aside. But generally, it doesn't really look like there's going to be anything in this roll other than that one's clad, obviously, but its edges are really flat. They're really worn down, 1998. But I'll go through these, and if I find anything, I'll show it in the wrap-up. Another thing I like to do when I'm coin roll hunting is I will take a look at the ends of the rolls to see if anything stands out. Anything noteworthy. Like on here, you've got a 79 Susan B. There's a bunch of things with the 79, so I'll have to take a look and see if it's any of the varieties. But that's another thing you can do with the coin rolls. Now this is another one that I've not hunted yet, so this is going to be new for me. There's a lot of things to be looking for on the small dollar coins. Most notably, some of the more modern ones. They should have, as you see here on the edge, you've got some of them have writing. They should all have writing like that on the edges for the more modern ones. There's known varieties that are missing the writing, and those are worth some money. So without further ado, there's not many of those, let's go on through these. Let me pull aside my notes here. So we've got a George Washington. What's really weird is the date and the mint marks on these are on the edge. So the presidential ones, these are the ones that you want to look for that don't have the lettering or even wrong lettering. They could have a wrong lettering on the edge as well. Doesn't really look like there's anything for the Washington. There's James Madison, and that one's got its writing on the edges, so it's a 2007 D. Doesn't look like there's anything for that. There's a Ulysses S. Grant. Such small writing on the edges of these coins. Doesn't look like there's anything special there. There's a 2000 D Sacagawea. Now with the 2000 Sacagaweas, D isn't really anything, but there's the Philadelphia mint mark that you want to look out for, because you could get the Cheerios coin, which is it's going to have more striking details on the feathers of the tail, and it was included in 2005 in select Cheerios boxes, just given away to people who bought the Cheerios. So hence why it's called the Cheerios dollar. And there's not many known varieties of that. So there's a James Madison. Some of these are in really good condition. Looks like a 2007 D. This is another Susan B. It's a 79. There's a William Henry Harrison. I don't know if that's just worn down, but that's a presidential dollar coin that doesn't appear to have any writing on the edge. So I might have found a potential error. It could just be really badly worn. But I'll look at it in more detail in a bit and get back to you on that one. I'm going to put that off to the side. That is a 2000D for the Sacagawea. Again, nothing really special there. As a Ulysses S. Grant. Looks like all of its lettering is intact, so nothing special. James Buchanan. This one has writing on the edges, but it's really faint. So I think it's just really badly worn. So I'll put that one off to the side just to look at it. Anyway, if I find anything else, I'll let you guys know and I'll wrap up. So here's the tricky thing where, for the most part, the scale is going to come into play. Some of the half dollars could be silver clad. Best way of finding out if it is or not is to weigh it. So for the bicentennials, which I have here, the bicentennial silver clad weighs 11.5 grams, whereas the copper nickel clad only weighs 11.34. So you put that on there, and that's going to be a copper nickel clad, since it's a little under 11.2. It's probably more around 11.29. Mine doesn't go to the tenths of grams or hundredths of grams. It only goes to the tenths. So, but yeah, that's the best way to tell if you've got something silver or not, is to weigh it. And like anything else worth noting, the red book will tell you what you need to know. Alright, so as expected, with only one roll of each type of coin, not a whole lot to save other than the pile of 2017 Ps, which obviously I'm keeping every single one of those I come across. If you didn't know, 2017 P pennies, this is a first and only year that they've ever done the mint mark of Philadelphia. But the more notables, we've got the really nice looking 1989 half dollar, which actually in that state's probably worth about $3. So I might have to take that to the coin store to have it looked at. And we got some other notables. A bunch of the 2015 Ps. These ones in particular, there's a variety where the obverse or the reverse is of the proof variety, and those are worth a decent chunk of change if indeed one of those does have the proof back to them. You'll notice one of them kind of looks a little different. It's kind of got more of a satin finish to it, but it could just be wear. And then the other ones are mostly just really off-struck. A couple of oddities with the nickels. We got one nice, really old pre-war 1941. One of them in here is double struck, sort of. I'll include an image of that, but there's a bunch of them that are just kind of off struck. The rim on the one that I said is double struck, you can tell because there's a line in the rim indicating that it was struck more than once. And then the rest of this is just going to be going back to the bank. Alright, so a tip for you for when you're doing this, I recommend becoming a member at a local credit union, one that has a coin machine that members can use for free, and just treating everybody at the bank with respect, you know, trying a little bit of humor when you talk with them, interact with them, kind of just treat them like you treat a friend, and they'll do you good. They won't have any money. They won't have many issues with you using their bank for coin hunting as long as you aren't a jerk. For the most part, my bank, they all know me, and they don't care if I order a box of pennies or nickels every so often. So just make friends with your bankers and treat them right, and they'll treat you right. One thing with the halves I should mention though is not a lot of people realize that 65 to 70 is still 40% silver. So if you do go to a bank and they say they have halves that are loose that aren't silver, I would still recommend picking them up because there's a chance that it could be one of those ones from 65 to 70 that is still silver. So that's it for now.